Welcome to the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The Walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. I am your host, Jesse Smithey, and yes, I said a different name there, the Walkthrough. We're not 5-Star Live anymore. Kind of put ourselves in the blender, stirred a few things in there, mix it back up, and repackage ourselves as something different. So each and every week of the high school football season, I'm going to be bringing you this show on social media every Friday at the same time. You'll know when it's going to be there. You can watch it as we preview each week of high school football. More player interviews, more highlights, more coach interviews right here on the Walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. Make sure you check them out at rentcoker.com. That's R-E-N-T, Coker, C-O-K-E-R.com. Locally owned here in the North Knoxville area. They have all your construction project needs. Check them out, whether you need a skid steer, whether you need a dumpster, wood chipper, what have you. They have it all outlined there on their website, rentcoker.com. Thank you so much to them for supporting our show and high school football here in East Tennessee. We're going to be talking about them more as the season goes on, but rentcoker.com, check them out at some point today. Give them a little support, and who knows, you might need them down the line. As I mentioned, I am Jesse Smithey from 5starpreps.com. Now is the perfect time to hop on to the website, get caught up on everything you need to know for the 2023 season. We have so much preview information on there to get you a little cram session right before week one begins on Friday night. And man, the season's got here in a hurry. Seems like a week ago we were in Chattanooga for the state championships, and 3 teams from East Tennessee brought home state titles a year ago: Anderson County, Alcoa, and West High School. And congratulations to all 3 of those programs. Anderson County going 15-0, winning their first ever state championship. Just a dream season for the Mavericks. Players like Walker Martinez, Bryson Vowell, Gavin Noe, Nick Moog, Eli Davis. So many memorable players from that team. They're going to be talked about up there on Maverick Circle for a very, very long time. So congratulations to the Mavericks. They have a big game here in week one as they begin to learn what it's like to defend a state title. There will be ups and downs. There'll be teaching moments, and we'll see where they are come the end of October as they prepare for another march into the postseason. That team will be there in the postseason, definitely with a chance to defend that title in 4A. Alcoa, of course, won its 8th consecutive state championship. No surprise there. They're probably going to win a 9th consecutive state championship. I know Gatlinburg-Pittman has maybe its best team ever when you have 2 Power 5 commitments out there out wide at wide receiver, a 3,000-yard passer, but this Alcoa team just built different. They have 3 running backs. They have 2 quarterbacks, 4 or 5 wide receivers, linebackers deep, secondaries deep. So all signs pointing towards Alcoa winning a 9th consecutive state championship. That would be number 22 overall. Of course, they lead the state in all-time state championships won with 21, getting it done in Brian Nix's first year as a head coach at Alcoa. Of course, he's been the defensive coordinator there since the early 2000s, but congratulations to the Tornadoes. And do not want to forget Knoxville West winning another state championship to go with the one that they won in 2014. This time 15-0 for the first time in program history. Carson Jesse, the quarterback, was the Blue Cross Bowl MVP. Of course, Braden Latham was the Mr. Football finalist at running back. He signed with EKU. You had a number of other players come off that team and go on to college rosters. So we'll get a glimpse in week one of what West is going to look like here in 2023 as they replace a quarterback, a starting running back legend, 2 or 3 wide receivers, some guys that were key on the offensive and defensive line. But we talk about that defense. That's probably going to carry them through the first few weeks, and that schedule is absolutely brutal for West High School this year. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the show as we progress. But it's been a crazy offseason here in the 5-Star Preps coverage area. We didn't expect it to be that way. Thought maybe 5 to 10 coaching changes would happen in the coaching carousel during the late winter months, maybe into spring, but it happened winter, spring, even into summer, right before the dead period, right after the dead period. So let's take a look at some of these new coaches that are in the area. The biggest noise that came out of it was probably Catholic High School and Oak Ridge High School. Let's start with Oak Ridge first. Right around December, we got news that they were going to part ways with Scott Cummings, who was there for just 1 year, led them to the 5A state quarterfinals, had a number of injuries and new quarterback situation that he had to deal with. But Oak Ridge says, hey, we're going to go in a different direction. A month later, they hired Derek Rang, the former Powell head coach, the former Gatlinburg-Pittman head coach, and the former head coach at Dresden in West Tennessee, where he won a state championship. He's also spent some time recently out of the state coaching, and he's been successful everywhere he has gone. And that's what Oak Ridge Athletics Director Joe Gaddis said. This is why we wanted to hire him. He's been successful everywhere he goes. He's a winner. Not that Scott Cummings wasn't. Scott Cummings won a state championship at West in 2014. He won at Halls. He won at Cleveland. But Derek Rang was ultimately their guy. He's a defensive first-minded guy, but we've seen him coach really good offenses as well. So it's not going to be one of those teams that tries to grind out 14 to 10 wins. He has guys on offense this year. When you talk about Jarvis Dozier, Brandon Hayward, Almani Rembert, that can get the ball in the end zone repeatedly. So a good opportunity for Derek Rang in his first year to go to Oak Ridge and put up a winner. And as I mentioned, Catholic, boy, what a topsy-turvy situation that was. They cut ties with Corey Mobbs there in November. And next thing you know, they're hiring Dean Kokinos, an Innsworth school assistant from the mid-state area. Not a lot of head coaching experience on Dean, but a lot of coaching experience in high school and college in the pros, and really had an impressive resume. And the key thing for him was coming here to Knoxville Catholic and building a staff. Well, as he went on, that staff included former Catholic head coach Steve Matthews and former William Blount head coach Philip Shadoan. So those are two head coaches on his staff that have plenty of experience. Well, coming out of July, out of the dead period, we hear from Catholic High School that Dean Kokinos is not going to make the full transition over to Knoxville Catholic. He's not going to be the head coach. They are going to name interim head coaches in Steve Matthews and Philip Shadoan. So they're going to be co-head coaches, co-interim head coaches this fall for Knoxville Catholic, which has a really, really potent offense with Jaden Neal, with Braylon Harmon at wide receiver. Of course, Jaden Neal will be his third year as a starting quarterback. And this Tyreek King kid, number 7 for Catholic, you want to go see him. You've probably seen him garner some headlines and some tweets on social media about his offer from Tennessee. This kid is legit. You could see it at the end of last year, last couple of weeks for Catholic. He was starting to come into his own, but he has leveled up big time. He has turned heads, raised eyebrows, oohs and ahs all summer long. Cannot wait for everybody in the Knoxville area to get to see Tyreek King and get more familiar with him. So other notable coaching changes in the area. Lee Warren takes over at Carnes. Lee Warren was a defensive coordinator under Brad Taylor for about 3 years. Brad Taylor announces right before the dead period begins in late June that he is retiring, stepping down, however you want to term it. He's going to pursue some other opportunities within the school, possibly administration. And it was going to be pretty much Lee Warren's job. And then coming out of the dead period, they announced him on Monday after the dead period that he was taking over the Carnes program. Real energetic young guy, loves football, loves the Carnes community. That whole staff stays in place, and that's big to keep the success that Carnes has had the last couple of years, try to keep that continuity going with the same coaching staff. So altogether, 14 head coaches that are new in the area, and you can see that list that we put up there on the screen. And more details on them at 5starpreps.com. That's part of our preview as we got to know some of the coaches in the area, 14 altogether. You can get up to date on how they got in place, where they came from, and who they replaced in our preview information. All right, speaking of new coaches, we have an interview with Derek Rang. You heard me talking about him just a minute ago. We caught up with him at KFOA Media Day. Here's what Derek Rang had to say about his new job in Oak Ridge.
Oh, it's been a fun, crazy transition. Obviously, anytime that you move schools during a school year, it's going to be a little chaotic. But the kids have responded well. Just excited to be at Oak Ridge. A lot of football tradition in the community. There's some high academic expectations in the school as well. So I feel like it kind of fits my my mindset, my criteria for what we want to be a part of, just in the community and school system. So I just feel to be here and excited about getting this year cranked up.
I know one of the things that was so intriguing about you as a hire that Joe Gaddis talked about was just about how you've won everywhere you've been.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as a coach you've developed a blueprint that travels, or is it case by case basis?
Well, I mean, I think the blueprint is, if you're organized, if you work hard and push the kids to be the best they can be, I think you're going to be successful. Obviously, you have to coach really good players, and fortunately, at the schools I've been at, we've had some really good players. We've been able to develop players, and I think it's just one of those things that if you demand excellence and you get after it at practice, and then you can also develop them in the off season in the weight room, that you're going to have a chance to develop some talented players. So I think the blueprint, I mean, I don't know if there's like a specific blueprint, but I think it just kind of goes back to kind of a lot of common sense stuff, being organized and putting a lot of time in and just kind of being efficient with everything. And I think if you do that, you can be successful anywhere.
Last year, looking back to last year, I know you weren't there, but there were some transitions at quarterback, and where are you guys with that position now? And do you have a starter kind of in place?
Well, I mean, we've not officially named a starter yet. We got a couple of players battling it out. I got a sophomore, Blaine Stansberry, got a junior, Life Goins. The one thing we like about both of them is they do have a good feel for the offense from a standpoint of what we're trying to do offensively, as far as getting calls out, communicating with the line, communicating with the receivers. Both guys can throw. Obviously, both guys can run, which to me is nice because you kind of have a dual threat element. So we're going to fall camp, battling it out and just kind of see where it goes. But we feel really excited about that position. Those guys have been doing quarterback school since February. So we've kind of gone in there. We've done a lot of stuff with on the whiteboard with going through different schemes and different reads and everything, and then went through a April period, a spring ball period. So we feel right now that those whoever earns that position is going to be super successful.
And you talked about going place to place and inheriting some guys, and you got a couple guys over here that are really special football players. And how much of a luxury is that to have Brandon and Dozier back there as well? Yeah,
it is. I mean, obviously, Brandon's kind of been a household name since his freshman year in East Tennessee. High-level player and very highly recruited player. So obviously, Brandon's been great. Just comes every day, works hard, tremendous practice player. Just a big-time playmaker that we're going to use in different areas on offense to get him the ball, and then defensively, we expect him to, take half the field and shut it down. Mm-hmm. And then Jarvis Dozier coming back as a running back, same deal. Played a lot of football his sophomore and junior year, and this year we expect him to kind of be the feature back. I know in the past he's kind of, split some carries with some kids, mm-hmm. but this year we kind of expect him to be the feature guy, and same deal. Had a great spring practice. Really ran hard, good balance. I think his vision is one of the most things that people don't realize is he has a great job at knowing when to cut back, seeing the hole, being patient through the hole, and he's hard to tackle. So I think you'll see a lot of 13 and 22 out there for Oak Ridge this year.
Last year, Amani Rimmer was a kid who I was really impressed with speed-wise, and is he still at Oak Ridge, and kind of what does he look like now? Yeah,
Amani, he's still at Oak Ridge. We've kind of transitioned him to a full-time receiver.
Okay.
But he's kind of bought into that, and and that's because stylistically we kind of want to be in more 10-11 personnel. So we felt like that they've kind of been some option in the past, but we want to kind of play with more receivers on the field. So Monty's transitioned to receiver and had a really good spring, really good summer, and he can still run and sure-handed. So he'll be featured as well.
Any player or two that could have breakthrough seasons that I could be writing about a lot this fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think one player that's really stuck out to me just from an effort and enthusiasm standpoint. Price Davis coming back at safety, maybe playing some receiver as well. He's obviously got a high motor on him. Really active. You got Bashan Knowles, another linebacker, tight end player that has played a lot in the past and coming back as well. And then I think up front on the line, I mean, Elijah Bradley is back, a defensive line who was really disruptive. Picked up some offers this summer from a couple of Division II schools, but he's super athletic and should have a big year on the defensive line.
Endless hold times and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact who is just a phone call away doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back into the walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. I'm your host, Jesse Smithey. Thank you, Derek Rank, for taking the time to talk to us there at Media Day. We're going to see him on Friday night in that game against Oak Ridge. Now it's time for the big preview, and let's start with that game. Jefferson County at Oak Ridge. Of course, Jefferson County made some headlines in the offseason, and not for a good thing. Not that anybody got in trouble, but they saw their quarterback one of the last 2 years, Isaiah Hall, move. He's transferred. He's now at Anderson County as the starting quarterback. And so what will Jefferson County look like now? I think they're going to go power run game again with Omarion Mills. I've heard that guy's had a tremendous offseason, has shed some weight. You could tell he was a little bit heavier last year, didn't have that burst that he normally does. He's a new guy this year, and he's got some underclassmen as well that's going to complement his game. So I think you're going to see a tough and physical Jefferson County offense come to town against Oak Ridge, which has some big boys too up front on its defensive line. Really impressed with what I saw out of Elijah Bradley, a senior on the defensive line, and they got some young guys as well. They're going to contribute, make big plays. You're going to hear more about as the season goes on. But Jefferson County and Oak Ridge, not a region game, anything like that, but just a real solid matchup of two teams that we expect to make it into the postseason, and should be a really, I think, eye-opening game for people who are interested in Oak Ridge football. I think they're really going to be surprised with what they get out of Derek Rang and that team from the jump. You got Jarvis Dozier at running back, a guy that split carries last year with a senior and still topped 1,000 yards. I think that guy goes for around 2K this year. If, again, stays healthy, offensive line's right there with him. Some things go his way, but he's certainly a college-capable back. And I definitely think he's going to get some offers to play on Saturday somewhere. You got Brandon Hayward back at wide receiver. Division I offers galore with that guy. Almani Rimbert is a senior with blazing speed. And we've seen him make some plays here in the preseason, even at our Jamboree a week ago. And he's devoted himself to full-time wide receiver, and I think you're going to see that pay dividends. So Derek Rang could step into a pretty good situation out there at Oak Ridge, and that's definitely a game that we'll be covering on Friday night. Bearden West on Saturday. That's going to be a rivalry Thursday broadcast on a Saturday. It's a noon kickoff. We don't get those very much around East Tennessee, so kind of a unique setting. I think the weather's supposed to be good, sunny, but not too hot. Maybe in the high 80s. Sometimes when you get those Saturday games in August, you worry about heat index, but I think we should be good to go on that. West High School, the defending state champions in 5A. They're going to get an opportunity to see what it's like, those kids on that roster, to defend a state title. It's not going to be easy. They're going to have to replace Carson Jesse at quarterback, Braden Latham at running back, Caden Latham at wide receiver, defensive back, Jaquarius Wren at wide receiver, defensive back. It's just so many key members from that team from a year ago that are no longer on that roster. John Carlovato at linebacker, Jemias Mills on the defensive line. So it's going to be our first look at what West will look like, and they're going to have to go against a Bearden team that is stout, and we've seen them multiple times in the preseason. Their run game is deep. They have experience at the quarterback position with Drew Parrott, who threw for over 2,000 yards a year ago. And remember, Bearden got that experience in the postseason a year ago, made it to the second round, really had a good late season push in year one under Josh Jones. And now expectations are high. And you're seeing that come into fruition at Bearden as they continue to become a more prevalent team in Class 6A football. So they have not beaten West in quite some time. I think it's been about 5 years. And so if they could go to West High School Saturday and knock off the defending state champions, that's going to be a big statement game for Bearden High School as to what could come for them in the remainder of the season. Anderson County at Powell has everybody excited. Those two teams, when they lock horns, man, it's just fireworks all over the place, and cannot wait to see Isaiah Hall, the quarterback. You heard me talk about him, the transfer from Jefferson County, what he'll look like in Davy Gillum's offense, a offense that put up gobs of yards and touchdowns a year ago under Walker Martinez. And when you factor in Isaiah Hall's arm, which is exponentially stronger than any quarterback I think that Anderson County has had in recent years, when you factor in that into what that offense could be, man, it could be fun to watch on Friday nights. Might be a few wrinkles early on that they have to iron out. Again, it's his first year in that system, but he's going to have to do it and do it on the fly and learn in a hurry, because this Powell defense is legit. Of course, Steven Souls on the defensive line, a Kentucky commitment. That guy just gets in the backfield. He makes quarterbacks rush into bad decisions, and he's got some help up there on the defensive line this year. It's not another Walter Nolan, anything like that, but they have some absolute big boy monsters on that defensive front at Powell. And of course, Powell going through a quarterback situation as well. I think you see them lean on Connor Wheeler, their star running back who ran for about 1,700 yards a year ago. And Dylan Stooksbury at wide receiver is going to be, I think, a breakout player. We saw him play a little quarterback. He's already one of the state's best punters and kickers, but an underrated athlete right there in the wide receiver position. So keep an eye on him. So it's all going to come down, I think, for Powell, just learning at the quarterback position as the season goes on. But we'll preview them and we'll predict this game later on in the show. Another game I put down on the big preview, Dobbins-Bennett at Farragut. Both of these teams also going through quarterback changes. Just a lot of QB1 changes this offseason, and Farragut's definitely one of those teams. Farragut is in a deep, deep region with Maryville, with Bearden, with Bradley Central, and so they're going to be fighting for their playoff lives. And so this is going to be an early game to watch with Farragut, just about how their quarterback plays. Does he get panicked? Does he get rushed? Or does he stay in there and deliver and really manage the game well and deliver the ball to their playmakers like Landis Davila at wide receiver? And they got a few running backs as well that can get out and get involved in the pass game. So I'll put that one on the list. Keep an eye on it. And then final game, Bradley Central at McMinn County. And you say, why do you put this game in the big preview? Well, you heard me talk about that region with Maryville, with Bearden, with Farragut. And this Bradley Central team has Boo Carter now, the Tennessee commitment, all-purpose athlete, comes over in the offseason, as does Ray County's quarterback, Caleb Martin, who is a college commitment as well. You pair them with some of the talent that was already on Bradley Central, and they instantly become a contender in Region 2-6A. And so why do I put this non-region game against McMinn County? Well, McMinn County's got some absolute beasts on defense. And if Bradley Central goes down to McMinn County on Friday night and puts up a ton of numbers against a really, really good defensive unit, I mean, that's scary to think about for the rest of those teams in that region. So I'm going to have a kind of a keen eye on Athens, Tennessee on Friday night to see just what Bradley Central does to that team down in McMinn County. And who knows, maybe McMinn County's defense puts them in their place, and maybe nobody's scared of Bradley Central after that. But right now, there's a lot of people talking about Bradley Central's potential and what they could possibly do in the postseason. So a lot of people are going to be watching Boo Carter each and every step that he makes because they're ball fans and they want to see how he does in his final year of high school football. All right, that's it for the big preview. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to interview a pretty interesting guy. You don't want to miss that. Stick around on the walkthrough presented by Coker Rental.
endless hold times, and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact who is just a phone call away doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
What's this feeling like for you?
A few weeks ago, it kind of hit me. It was kind of scary at first. I was like, this is last year of high school, but, I think this is just going to be such a fun year. We've got like school and sports. We've got such a fun team, such a good school. I'm just taking it week by week, enjoying every moment. And I think we got a chance to do something big this year.
You are a guy that I know could play on the college level, and how much is that a goal of yours, and where do you stand with that?
That's my goal. I'm doing everything I can, lifting, eating. I'm trying to put on good weight. College football is my goal, so whatever it takes to get there, I'm going to do.
As a guy that's progressively gotten better through his high school career, what do you feel like you want to see out of yourself individually this year?
I think aggression. I think I've been an aggressive player the last 3 years, but I've been watching my film a lot this year, and I think there's so much more I can do on the field. And I think it's I've been playing with Joey the past 3 years, and that's been awesome. And he's captain aggressive, and I think we matched up very well. But I think this is we have a bunch more linebackers stepping up, but I think this is a big year for me to show just what I can do when the offense does not want to run.
What has it been like so far under Coach Mahoney? I mean, I know he's a guy that's kind of been around a little bit, but what's that been like, that transition so far?
We haven't skipped a beat. He was here last year, and I think that's helped so much because he just got to see a part of Webb culture and just see how we function under Coach Mahoney or under Coach Meskey, and I think it's just been a perfect transition. And I think there's some new things that he brings to the table, and we're all super excited. So we got to keep the most like our staff and bring in some new guys. So I think we're all super excited.
Will you see anything new out of you? You get to play any offense this year, anything like that? Okay.
Sure, I'm going to be a tight end this year. I played some tight end last year, but I'll be playing tight end this year, and I'm really excited. I want to do as much as I can for this team, and I'll kick if they want me to. But so tight end, linebacker too.
All right, got time for some fun questions?
I always do.
All right. Person you text the most during the day?
My buddy Jack Felton. I go fishing a lot, and whenever I catch a fish, I text him. So,
emoji you use the most?
Wow. Definitely the like shh emoji.
Okay. Why is that?
It looks cool.
Did you have a sports hero that kind of made you fall in love with football at an early age?
Sports hero. I think Brian Bosworth's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
Last year when our tight end package, they asked me what I wanted to name it because it was like kind of like a trick play for me, and his name Boz. So I think he's just got the swagger and everything.
It's not still named that, is it? I don't want to give it away.
No, it's not still named that.
Okay, I don't want to give away a trick play, but let's see, jersey number and why you chose that.
I chose number 9, and I think a big thing, sophomore year I played right tackle, and I was wearing 52, I think. It's not my favorite number in the world. Right. So last year when they were like, you're going to play tight ends and wear whatever number you want, I was like, I'm going single digit. And it was 8 or 9, and my sister had worn 9 her whole soccer career. So I could show her up a little bit with number 9 at Webb. So,
person you'd most like to meet?
Mike Tyson. I think he's a super cool dude. I think he's had a really cool life. I tried to box for a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was boxing at Eppolito's, and I plan on going back there soon, starting again. But I love Mike Tyson.
Okay. Are you a streamer guy, Netflix, any of that stuff? Anything you're big on right now?
I'm a big like cartoon guy. I'm rewatching South Park right now.
Okay.
I'm rewatching Futurama, and I'm watching the show called Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
But yeah.
And last thing, do you have any kind of pregame tradition thing you have to do before a game?
I do. So we always just kind of hang out in the locker room, play some loud music. But when it's about like 5 minutes till we go out on the field, I always go out in the hallway and I pray, and then I listen to the Scarface theme intro. I listen to that every single game. It was actually the first game I ever did that was the CAK game where I got to pick 6. So I've kept doing it, and I feel like it's worked out so far.
Always fun to hear from Cooper Cameron, senior linebacker for Webb. I got a feeling he's probably going to be on the show a little bit more in some form or fashion, whether it's highlights, whether it's another interview. Got to hear more about that boxing career out of Cooper Cameron. And, of course, we had him up on set at 5 Star Live a couple of years ago as a sophomore when he had that key pick 6 interception return for a touchdown in a win against CAK. And, man, how his career has grown, his skill set has grown. One of the more aggressive linebackers in the area who can also flip over to the offensive side of the football, like he told you, and get it done there at tight end as well. They're going to need him to be as healthy as possible. The numbers are a little low at Webb this year in terms of overall involvement in roster numbers, but Cooper Cameron, certainly one of the college football talents on that Webb roster this year. And certainly appreciate him talking with us and bringing you that interview in full from Cooper Cameron. Hey, Jamborees were a lot of fun last week. We had our 3rd annual Jamboree presented by TOC up at Carson Newman. If you've never been, put it on your calendar for next year. It's a one-night event on Thursday. Some of the bigger names in East Tennessee like Catholic and Greenville and Oak Ridge, Grace Christian, CAK was there, and so many others. We keep getting more and more interest as it continues to grow, and it'll certainly be bigger and even better next year. But we had a blast. Here's some highlights from the night, along with the KOC Jamboree at Hardin Valley on Friday night. Check out all these highlights and big plays from the Jamboree. It was unbelievable.
Endless hold times and that user-friendly website can just add to your frustrations when you need business to run on time. Your contact who is just a phone call away doesn't turn out to be so available after all. Best Logistics Group puts you first. When our team promises we can handle that, you can count on us to be there when you need us, not just when it's convenient. To put an end to your supply chain headaches, just remember there's Best Logistics Group.
Technology has certainly made everyone better, but it's the people that separate the good from the best.
When you shop at Elliott's, your journey is our purpose.
North Knox Siding and Windows is a complete exterior home improvement company that can help you with all your exterior needs. Visit us today at 5618 North Broadway.
Welcome back to the walkthrough presented by Coker Rental. Final segment of the show, we'll have our Waffle House predictions coming up in just a moment, along with your social media predictions. But want to take a moment to send our condolences and heartfelt prayers to the Fulton community and the family of Coach Bob Black. Of course, he has been a staple at Fulton High School for more than 5 decades. The field was named after him in 1986. He's been put into the TSSAA Hall of Fame. He is in the Greater Knoxville Sports Hall of Fame. He's on the Wall of Fame at Fulton High School. When you talk about Fulton family, you begin with Bob Black. He's kind of like the grandfather of it all. And of course, his son, Robbie Black, now an administrator at Fulton, once an assistant coach and head coach at Fulton as well. Won 3 state championships with his father on staff. And of course, Bob Black was part of championships for Fulton in the early 2000s as well. But he's a former Fulton player, graduated there back in 1960, I believe, came back in 1965 to begin as an assistant coach and was a head coach for only 2 years. But his impact as an assistant coach, as an administrator, as a father figure, as a mentor, and as a man that was humble enough to take on even the smallest of tasks to help out kids at Fulton High School and in the Broadway community was immeasurable. And you cannot calculate how many lives this man has touched. And so it has been a difficult week for all of those at Fulton, and they're going to honor him Friday night in a ceremony on the field that bears his name. And so prayers to Rob Black and his family, his sister, their kids, just everybody in the Fulton community who knew Bob Black and will forever remember him. Certainly we pass along our prayers and God's peace to you guys as well. So not an easy way to transition out of that, but that needed to be said. And certainly going to be a lot of people at that Fulton game on Friday night, Broadway up against Central High School. They're going to give out championship rings to the boys basketball team. That'll be a fun atmosphere. And somebody was like, well, why are they doing that on a night where they're going to be honoring Bob Black and a sad night for a passing? Why are you mixing in celebration with people lamenting the loss of someone? And that reasoning was Bob Black would have wanted that. He loves Fulton so much, loved the kids so much that he'd want it to be a celebration. Hey, man, they just won a state championship back in March. Let's give out some rings on this night. Don't make it about me. Make it about the kids. And so that's what they're going to do. That's why it's all going on Friday night in between quarters and such. So it should be a fun night. Social media predictions. Each and every week we put a post up on Instagram for all the young folks around the area who follow us on there and say, hey, who's going to ball out this week? And this week, man, all-time high in responses, over 200 comments. I cannot read all of those, but certainly we've been talking about Fulton. Derek Smith Jr. is a guy that people mentioned on that thread, a wide receiver who going to come into his own a little bit this year, kind of an all-purpose guy, much in the same mold as Marcellus Jackson Jr., and he should have a big year this year, real big chip on that guy's shoulder, so he's certainly one to watch on Friday night. A lot of responses for Tyreek King. You heard me talk about him earlier in the show, number 7, sophomore wide receiver for Catholic, and I think by the time his career in high school is said and done, he's going to be one of the biggest prospects to ever come out of Knoxville, and he's certainly coming into his own right now. Just unbelievable one-hand catches, speed down the field to get past defensive backs. He and Braylon Harmon are going to be very, very tough to stop. Braylon Harmon was certainly on that mention and reply list. And you take a look at Central High School with Frank Johnson IV. He was a guy that some people shouted out, a big power back who ran for about 1,800 yards a year ago. Britton Carver was a shout out. West High School offensive lineman, came over from Martin Westview, over in West Tennessee when his father, Keith, got a new job at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. He was chancellor at UT Martin, recently made the move over to Knoxville. And Britton Carver, big offensive lineman, getting some college offers. I don't know how an offensive lineman balls out. I guess pancakes and paving the way for the running game, but certainly he's going to get a taste of East Tennessee football on Saturday afternoon in that big game against Bearden High School. Of course, Jaheim Merriweather getting a lot of shout outs on our Instagram post, the running back commitment to Purdue, 6'2", 210 pounds. Jason Thompson got a few shout outs on the thread as well. So hop over to Instagram. It's at 5-Star Preps. Check out that post and see whose predictions are right, whose predictions are wrong. Speaking of predictions, it's now time to get to our Waffle House predictions. Waffle House always supported us here. When it used to be 5-Star Live, they supported us. They supported our golf tournament and now continue to support high school athletics right here on the walkthrough. Certainly appreciate Rocky Top Waffles and all they do. Love Waffle House. I don't know what y'all's favorite order is at Waffle House, but I'm a breakfast sandwich guy. I go with the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich, some hash browns. Keep it simple. I'm not into some of the crazy orders that I've heard from some other people there late at night, but certainly love Waffle House and all that they do for us here in East Tennessee. It looked like they helped get a recruit to Tennessee just because there was Waffle House locations here in Knoxville. Kind of odd that he name dropped them, but I know they were very happy to hear that. So big predictions tonight here on Friday night, Anderson County versus Powell. This game has been absolutely bonkers the last few years. Powell normally won it, but last year they lost. Jordan Potts, their quarterback, went down early in that game with injury, and Anderson County took advantage and ended up winning that game handily during their 15-0 championship season. Both teams debuting new quarterbacks. I like Powell to win this football game, though. Even though I have Anderson County ranked ahead of Powell in our 5-Star Preps rankings, for this week and for this matchup, I like Powell just because of what I saw out of Powell's defensive line in scrimmages against Alcoa. Not just Steven Souls, the Kentucky defensive end commitment, but other guys up front. It's a deep group. It's a physical group, a real aggressive group on the defensive front for Powell. And I think they get into the backfield and disrupt a few things against the Mavericks. So I got Powell eking it out, just a couple points, maybe something in the 32-30 range, something like that. It's going to be a fun one up there at Powell High School on Friday night. Bearden and West, you've heard me talk about that game. Bearden has not won since 2018. West High School going to try to rely on that defense in the early going of the season until its offense can kind of catch up to speed. A lot of new faces on offense for West. But when you take a look at the tail of the tape, I think Bearden is a little deeper at running back. They have a returning quarterback with experience who's thrown for 2,000 yards, and he's played in this game before. You got wide receivers that can get down the field and make plays. That West defense is going to give them trouble, no doubt. But I think by the fourth quarter, just that overall experience and talent level for Bearden just pulls away. I think they rally in the fourth quarter to beat West in a kind of a low-scoring game, 21-17, something of that nature. So, and our last prediction, Central at Fulton High School. Central won this game a year ago, even though Fulton had Marcellus Jackson. I think they get the win once again this Friday night to kick off the season the right way under Nick Craney. You heard me talk about Frank Johnson IV. I think that guy goes for 2,000 yards this year. If he stays healthy, if his offensive line can stay somewhat healthy, that guy's going to get plenty of touches and opportunities to run the football. And do not sleep on the trick play. Remember last year, he played quarterback for about half the season, and he can chunk that ball downfield. So I like Frank Johnson to lead them to this win. Central has two really good defensive backs in Torrin McAfee and Javiston Badgett. Hopefully I've said his name correctly, but I've seen both of them play a lot in the preseason and really like them. I think they're going to frustrate some Fulton receivers on Friday night and get that win. So next week, the walkthrough presented by Coker Rental will be right back here at the same time. If you got questions, send it to us, DM, email us, 5starpreps@gmail.com. Maybe we can answer some questions on the show, or you want us to give you some opinion on what to look for. We'll do it either way, but certainly appreciate everybody tuning in. Enjoy week 1 of the high school football season. It's going to be a fun one. We'll bring some highlights of week 1 back to the show here next week, right here on the walkthrough, presented by Coker Rental. Have a good one.
Welcome to the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough. Powered by Coker Rental Company. The walkthrough delivers important pregame news, breakdowns of the week's biggest matchups, and more from the teams and players you spend your fall Friday nights cheering for.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
Now, join us as our host, Jesse Smithey, and the rest of the 5-Star Preps team deliver the most comprehensive high school football coverage in East Tennessee. It's time for the 5-Star Preps Walkthrough.